And I didn't know it. Did we have class on Monday? So my name is Mr. Bame, first name Brady. This is English 12A, and this is at Chisholm High School in northern Minnesota, Chisholm.
Hi, my name is Peter Baxtrom. I work here at Chisholm High School. We're the Blue Streaks, and I teach English or language arts, is how we call it sometimes. And I do teach typically 7th and 10th grade, so that would be like 12, 13-year-olds. And with 10th grade English, those are usually 15 and 16-year-olds.
Hi, I'm Mr. Schaefer at Chisholm High School. I teach 8th grade geography and 12th grade economics.
Hi, my name is Rachel Mackey. I am a teacher here at Chisholm High School in Chisholm, Minnesota, United States. I teach a variety of science classes here. I teach high school chemistry to 10th and 11th graders. This year, I also have anatomy and physiology, and also forensic science.
So I am asked what my motto in teaching is. My motto is day by day. That's not only for teaching, that's for everything I do. I think that teaching is one of those things that you have to take what you have learned in real life and apply it to your classroom. So what I've learned in real life is just to take it day by day, and I do that in my teaching as well.
I don't know if I have like an actual motto as much, but like when I think about teaching, I really think it's important to develop relationships with my students. I think it's really important to show that I'm here for the right reasons, so that like I'm not just telling them what to do for the sake of doing it, but to try to actually show that I care, and I do care, about what kind of options and choices we have after high school and as we get older and as we mature and things like that. So I really want to try and set up my students to be successful, and I think that's a really big part of it, is to be successful for the things we do, whether it is our professional lives, our private lives, things like that. So I guess that's one of the things I really try to work on overall with my students.
Not so much a motto, but more of a goal that all of our students will be able to succeed in some way, shape, or form, regardless of their abilities. So we want to make sure that that's a goal of ours in the 8th grade and 12th grade social studies classroom.
Second question I'm asked is, do I think that the U.S. has a good school system? This is tough because overall I would say yes. But one of the things and one of the issues we have in the United States is we are a really big country, and we have different states, and all of these places kind of have different views and opinions. And then also it really does come down to the people who are working in that system. So I do overall think that the U.S. has a good system. The ideas are great. Sometimes does it always get executed the right way, would be the next thing to think about.
I do think that the school systems here in the U.S. are very good. I think teachers are trained very well. We have to do extra training every single year to kind of keep up on any new information, new stuff that's going on, new standards, etc.
I think there's pros and cons. There's certainly things that need to be worked on. I know it's not perfect. In terms of there's an inequality between different groups of people in the country in terms of the education that they get and how they achieve on their different test scores. And I think standardized testing is one of those cons that prevents or starts test anxiety and things for students. But there is opportunity for school choice, which I think is big in a democratic country like the United States, that you have the choice public school versus private school versus, say, a Catholic school as well. So that choice is something that you have in terms of what kind of education you want.
How many years of college do you need to be a teacher? You need 4 or 5. I did 5 because I didn't know my major when I first went to college. I was a religion major at first, and so I changed to English education, and that took me 5 years.
Minimum of 4. I did 5 because I have the science degree, and I wasn't able to do my science degree in 3. So I did actually 5 years for that extra teaching license.
I think if you know what you want to do right away, you could probably do it in 4 years. I didn't know what I wanted to do, so I actually got an English degree first, and then after that, I went back to school some years later to get my teaching certification taken care of. So for me, it took a lot longer than 4 years, but for some people, they can do it in 4.
I actually went 6 years. I did 4 years and got a bachelor's of arts in sociology, and then I went 2 years to get my social studies 5th through 12th grade secondary teaching license. I did my undergrad at the University of Minnesota, Twin Cities, and my teaching practicum at the University of St. Thomas in St. Paul, Minnesota.
Do I find it important that students come in exchange year? Would you also like to do it when I was in high school? So I didn't do it in high school. I didn't take a foreign exchange year. I think that would have been really cool. It was just always some money issues that we didn't. It's quite expensive, I know, in the U.S. to go over to different countries. And it may be perhaps from Belgium as well, but I know that certain countries have really good foreign exchange programs that allow for students to really explore wherever they want to go at a pretty good price. And I do find it important. We're learning about the world, and we're kind of opening a world conversation, if you will, and I think that's really cool.
I never wanted to do an exchange program when I was in high school, but I think it's an excellent program that high schoolers and college students can do these exchange programs. I actually did exchange program when I was in college. I went overseas for my student teaching. I went to Australia. So I was a foreign exchange student for my student teaching. And I still communicate actually with the teachers that I worked with over there, which is kind of fun in school. So I think it's an excellent thing. I think you learn a lot, not only about your country, but you learn kind of a lot more about the world and a lot more about yourself in general. Wish more kiddos from here would go on exchange programs when they're in high school, at least go when you're in college.
I'll answer the second part first. I really would have liked to have done it when I was in high school. In fact, I remember thinking about it when I was younger, but I never really pulled the trigger to go through with it, and I never took it seriously enough. As a teacher, I think and especially in the past few years, we've had some really good exchange students from a variety of different countries. We've had kids from Spain, from the Netherlands. We've had kids from Germany and South America, like Colombia. And one of the things I really like about it here in a town like Chisholm, where we're a small town, is that some of the kids here who don't get out of Chisholm much, they get to meet people from all around the world, and we get to learn about, from a first-hand experience, what life is like in these other countries that these kids come from. And I like it as well because I get to learn a lot about the countries they come from.
Would have loved to do it in high school. I took German, a few years of German, which was something I always enjoyed. I took German when I was in college too, and I think it's important that students have that opportunity to go experience different cultures and different systems and kind of broaden and expand their horizon in terms of, we live in a very global society, so getting that opportunity I think is definitely important in the development of our young high school students. Belgium and France, there's a big distance between teachers and students. So looking at the importance of having a relationship with students, I think it is important to really get to know your students. And when we say relationship here in the U.S., we're not necessarily talking about being best friends with a student, but more so just understanding their background, understanding where they're coming from in terms of, are they low class, are they high class, what's their family situation like, things like that, so we can better meet their needs in the classroom. So I think it's important to have that relationship where you get to know them, but again, it's not a relationship of texting basis or something like that. You still need distance and professionalism in that sense.
I do, actually. I think that our students need us. Lately in the States, anxiety rates have gone up very high. Trusting your fellow person has been decreasing. And just relationships in general are not what they used to be. We used to have close family units, and now when students go to school, they are forced to be by themselves and isolate. and not even have some of those relationships that you need to be psychologically healthy. So I believe, and the education system in America does believe, that teachers should be close to their students. I do believe there's a barrier there. There are going to be things that we find humorous that I'm not to laugh at, right? Some things are across a line, and we don't pass that line.
Personally, I actually do, especially in a community like Chisholm that's smaller. I pride myself on trying to build good relationships with my students, because when I went back to the first questions I was answering, I think, like, for me, I invest a lot of time and effort into students and trying to get to know them. And I think when students know that we as adults and teachers are here for all the right reasons, I think there's a lot of times where they might listen more or take us more seriously when it comes down to trying to give them ideas for what they potentially want to do when they grow up.
I do. I think the relationships with your students make a big difference in how they receive your information, whether or not they trust you. I know as a child, if you don't trust somebody, or a young adult, if you don't trust who is instructing you or have respect for them, you're not going to want to work for them. I think that relationship you would build with them or with your students makes them realize that they matter and that you care. And it really helps you understand them better and be able to educate them better. Everybody has their strengths and their weaknesses, and you're only going to really find those if you take the time to kind of get to know the person, because then you can figure out how to help them be the best that they can be. So I think relationships are extremely important between the teachers and the students for student success.
Do you see high school as the best years of your life or of school, or did I not enjoy it? I'm from a small community, so where I went to high school, it was what I knew. It was my community, and I just cherished it. I grew in it, and I really wasn't disillusioned about my community until I went to college and was embraced with another community. So with that, I can say that it was probably some really enjoyable years, but I wouldn't say they're the best, because I don't think that blissful ignorance is the best. As I've learned a lot, I think college was probably the best years of my life, and I'm still trying to live the best years of my life right now. The best I can, at least.
Personally, I enjoyed high school a lot. I had a pretty good time in there. Not all of the years were great, but I tried to make it as best I could, but it wasn't always awesome. Were they the best years of my life? I would say no. For me, I feel like the older I've gotten, life has gotten more interesting, and I found ways to make it more entertaining and just kind of enjoyable and meaningful to me. Unfortunately, that's not the way it works for everybody, but for me, I enjoyed high school, but I would definitely say it was not the best years of my life.
I enjoyed high school, but I don't think it was the best years of school. There were things that I really liked about high school, and I think high school is really important in figuring out who you are. But I definitely think college was my best experiences for school.
I would say so. I mean, a lot of the memories you make in high school are memories that you have your whole life and carry with you your whole life. Some of those friends and friends group are people you stay in contact with as well your whole life. So it's those certain things you remember, the Friday nights after the football games, if you're going to dances or you're going to friends' houses, or the nights at the band concert when you go and watch your friends, or maybe you're playing. It's those extracurricular activities that I think really carry a lot of weight in terms of the memories that high school students make. So I do believe that they are some of the best years of their lives.
I would like to say thank you to Mr. Morrison, my principal, for letting me record in the school. And once again, I would like to say thank you to Mr. Baxtrom, Mr. Bam, Mr. Schaefer, Miss Carol, Miss Fleming, and Miss Mackey for answering my questions and for letting me record their classes. And I'm sorry if I say your name wrong. Really, I'm sorry. So, thanks again. It was really kind and it was really interesting. So yeah, thank you, and I hope you enjoyed it too.